And next month, we're going over to do a complete documentary of what it's like to come through a government-run inquiry. At the minute in England, you've got £100 million inquiry into child abuse. Now, me and Joe were lucky because our state, Northern Ireland, actually got found guilty of satanic, sexual and physical abuse against kids. But this documentary that me and Joe's had a gagging order on us all the way through the inquiry, and that finished a couple of weeks ago because me and Joe's, this is our government-run inquiry. This documentary that we're going to do is going to expose how fucking corrupt the government are when it comes to a government-run inquiry. So we're flying over next month and we're actually going to document everything that me and him went through, because we've got £100 million inquiry going on here in England. I would bet every penny that I have that inquiry is not going to be the same as ours. The fucking main reason, I'm sorry for this word, the main reason that inquiry is not going to be the same as ours is because there's too many politicians and hierarchy involved in that inquiry and mentioned in that inquiry. You've had 4 judges in this resign from that inquiry.
Yes.
Because they're being told, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that. So it's going to be interesting to see when this £100 million inquiry finishes the way it goes. They're not going to get the same results I wish to God that I could say that they would get, these victims are going to get the same results that we do. But that's not going to happen. Now, as everybody knows that knows me and Joe, we've been under a gagging order all the way through our inquiry. If me and Joe mentioned any name of the people that abused us, it's a £25,000 fine or 2.5 years in prison. No, I've had millionaires say to me, Bobby, I'll put that money in your bank account tomorrow. And me and Joe hasn't said anything because we've always been on the, well, it's alright, they wouldn't, if that money was there, they'd just give me and him the 2.5 years in jail. So anyway, next month we're flying over to Belfast and we're going to, that inquiry, that's all finished now. The gagging order's gone. So we're flying over to Belfast next month, I think, and we're going to expose the whole fucking lot. For how corrupt it actually is. So the names are coming out, the whole fucking lot is coming out. We're putting transcripts up from our court case, and we're going to put, they can't argue with that. You cannot argue with transcript. Anybody that spends a day in court, everything you say in court goes into writing, and we've got the whole lot. So all this miscarriage of justice, evidence that I needed on that day that I was in court, wasn't, unless it's stabbing somebody, wasn't, I stabbed the guy that was going to abuse me with a priest. And when I'm halfway through the inquiry, on my day in that inquiry, no reports of this ever happening. That stabbing incident wasn't even on their records. Yet fucking 10 days later, that was brought in on somebody else's, what do you call it? And I spotted it because we was keeping an eye on the inquiry. That's a miscarriage of justice in any court in this land. And that's how fucking corrupt these twats are. Because I was stood in the actual courtroom in front of a solicitor that was government. Well, I never asked for her, but I'll give her name out when we do this, and the whole fucking lot's coming out. Sorry for the swearing. And listen, our case was the biggest case in Europe at the time. 530 of us came forward. 90 victims committed suicide or died during our inquiry. And we're going over next month and we're going to fucking expose the corruptness, the whole lot that the system is. Because I want people to know we need more and more people. Listen, I've got nothing for it but love and respect for every single one of you that's turned up today. But you know the part that fucking breaks my heart? There's the aunties, the uncles, the grannies, there should be fucking millions of us stood here today.
Yes.
Millions of us stood here today. And I've always said that when it comes to the abuse of kids, where the fuck is everybody? Where is everybody? I'm sick of having demos where when you're talking about child abuse in this country, it's the same faces that I love and respect, always. It's the same faces all the time, every town, every city that we've ever. I've done it in London, Manchester, Liverpool, I forget the places, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, I forget the places I've demoed in. And we need to start wakening more and more people up. And that's why me and Joe are going to do this documentary. Because when I put court papers up, nobody can ever call me a liar. I'm known as it, me and Joe's known as the real truth tellers. Because that's what we do. We won the biggest court case in Europe. If all the information is there, and we're going to put the whole fucking lot out for how corrupt the government are, because they're in it. They're in it. Listen, to find the state guilty in Northern Ireland doesn't mean shit. Because the probation service aren't getting dragged into court and getting done with it. The police service aren't getting dragged into court and done with it. Social services aren't getting dragged into court. So the easiest thing to say is we find the state guilty, which they did. But you know what the fucking biggest fucking... We were supposed to have a memorial built for us that was never built. The public apology that none of us ever had. And I'm not expecting that anyway, but it's what they put people through. The Northern Ireland, when they started this inquiry, the HIA inquiry in Northern Ireland, they were putting fucking leaflets through people's doors. If you were in this home and you were abused, this, that and the other, we will give you a voice. We will listen to you. We want to hear what the stories of the abuse that you went through and what you had to suffer. Lord Hart, God bless him, he was the judge that came out of retirement to take our inquiry over. Now, I have got nothing but love and respect for that guy, for what he did, because he actually found the state guilty. But the redress board has been sent up now, and we're going to document this when we go over. So here, I'm going to fucking, this is an exclusive, because this has a government-run inquiry works. If you come forward to a government-run inquiry and you were abused in any care home in Northern Ireland, there was 22 institutions were investigated. 22 institutions, all but one, were found guilty. So what they're doing to victims now is, this is the redress board, they're going, we don't believe the story that you told, but there's 10 grand, fuck off and don't ever speak about it again. And when me and Joe seen that this was happening, it was never about money. This was never ever about money. It was about getting justice. So this is why we're going to do this documentary, because we need to start opening. Why are fucking social services and the government and everything, they're complicit in what's going on? Because if they aren't, why the fuck are we all stood here going on about child abuse? This should be getting debated in Parliament.
Yes.
This should be getting debated in Parliament. Why are we all doing this? I've said that for the past 4 or 5 years. Should be us doing this. I don't get paid for doing this. I do this because I'm a victim. I'm a survivor. I have to shut up, because if I go on too much, Joe's going to end up with nothing to say. But listen, we are going to expose, and listen, see when me and Joe do this, there is nobody, and I mean fucking nobody, that can argue with the evidence that we're putting up. And this evidence, it's not just about Northern Ireland, this is the English government. Boris Johnson, when he first got in, the video's there for everybody to see. Boris Johnson actually turned around and said, It's a load of old fodder. I'm not interested in people that were abused fucking 20, 30, 40 years ago. He's actually said that live on camera, and we've got the evidence. That's fucking going up as well. But like I said, everybody, love and respect for it. This is what we need. This is what we need to do, because listen, we get victims all over this country. England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales. Are we all fucking lying?
No!
Are we liars?
No!
We need to fucking expose the establishment for how corrupt that they are all the way through this. And stop voting. Stop voting for the fucking idiots. We're voting the same shit back then again. Voting the same. We need to change votes in this country and start fucking voting people in the parliament that actually give two shits about children, about forced adoption, about everything, and every single thing that, every problem in this whole country lies straight at the feet of government.
Yes. Yes.
You know, Labour have fucked themselves up anyway. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to shut up because if I say too much, he's not going to be able to say anything. But listen, everybody, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to each and every one of you that turned up. Listen, these demos need to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Bigger and bigger and bigger. I want millions of us on the streets when it comes to the abuse of children. Thank you, everyone. When it comes to government, where you got the Scottish government, the Welsh government, or the English government, yeah, me and Bobby's already exposed it. 160 MPs in London that are on a sex register. Now that can be anything from, sorry for saying it, pushing your secretary up to child abuse. Saul Smith. Sorry, gone brain dead then. Sorry. Saul Smith. Leon Britton, Secretary of State. Child abuser. Jenner, child abuser. Theresa May got into Parliament. Her dad was took off the sex offenders list, off the list, sorry. Yeah, because he was a sex offender. Me and Bobby exposed it all when it comes to the British government. Me and Bobby waived our anonymity in the court of law to be able to tell the truth, even though we had a gagging order. But like I said, that gagging order is gone now, and we're no longer under that gagging order. Me, Bobby and Phil, we're going to Northern Ireland. We're going to do the documentary that desperately needs to be done, because now we can expose the government how corrupt it is. Right? I would turn round to any survivor of child abuse, and I'd rather turn round to them and go, please don't come forward. Yeah? We've lost so many lives. And it's like, excuse the pun, it's like opening Pandora's box. You gotta relive all that shit again. And a lot of survivors don't survive. Yeah. That's what the government are asking us to do. That's what we've already done. We opened our case in 2010. The case started in 2017. 2013, sorry, and finished in 2017. Yeah. What a fucking long time to fight. It drains the living shit out of you. And it hurts you. But we fought it, and we won. But we didn't fucking win under the government. We didn't win. We changed 127 laws to protect children. Them laws haven't even been implemented yet. Under social services, they use the 1989 Act. We won our case in 2017. It should be the 2017 Act. The government have not done that, because that's how fucking corrupt the fuckers are.
Yes!
We won our case, although we didn't. Yeah. But I will turn round, and Bobby will turn round, and Sandy will turn round, and all the rest. I don't call you victims. We're survivors.
Yes!
Yeah? We will keep fighting. We will not. We will not let the establishment beat us, the government beat us. We are the real truth tellers, and we'll fucking say it as it is. Fucking. Our children are supposed to be our future. Lead them well, show them the way. Not in this corrupt shit that we're going through. And that's the hands of the government. That's the hands of the paedophiles. I share all paedophile hunter groups. And I tell you what, to every policeman, there's not even a policeman here now, we've all fucked off. Yeah? The paedophile hunter groups, I salute you, I respect you. Yeah? You're hunting down paedophiles more than the fucking police are. I'm so privileged and glad to be in Glasgow. We do travel all around the country, doing our demos and this, that and the other. But I'm so privileged to be in Glasgow for Sunday. Beach Humber, everybody. Yeah. I promised them I would come back. But that's what it's about. It's about putting the message out there. Right? See, whenever people turn around and say, no such thing as child abuse. Yeah. There's so many warriors here today that made the first speech that they've never done before, and my heartstrings pulled to them, because we know how much they suffer. I still get emotional, and I've been doing this for over 10 years. You know what I mean? We're not lying. We were all raped and abused as innocent little children. Yeah? And it's about waking every other fucker up. Yeah? All the sheep out there, yeah, wake up. I don't want your door to get knocked and told that your child was raped or groomed online. Yeah? Time to waking up, people. Yeah? We are all the real truth tellers. And we're here telling it from our souls and from our hearts. Yeah? How bad child abuse is in this country. I say it, I'm going to say it now anyway. Yeah? Me and Bobby do demos all over the country. Yeah? Rotherham. Yeah? Pakistani Muslim gangs raped 1,400 little girls. Yeah? Am I racist for saying that? No, I ain't. The Catholic Church raped me and Bobby. Right? We're Catholics. That's our religion. So if I took my Catholic Church to court, if I expose Pakistani Muslim gangs, does that make me a racist? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Yeah? I don't give a two shits what colour you are, what race you are. If you're touching children in the wrong way, we will hunt you fucking down and we will expose you. something that I've never done, and I thought I couldn't do. I just got to get this in, because I've got a paedophile hunt. Me and Joe's actually set up probably every paedophile hunting team in this country, and I didn't think I could do that, because my mates and everybody that does it, I turned around and said I couldn't do it, because I'd end up chinning the fucker if he was stood in front of me, because I'm a victim. So what I'm actually going to be going out on hunts now, because I want to be able to say to the fuckers right to his face, I was raped and abused as a child. So why I want to get into their heads. So, but my mates have said to me, Bobby, look, we know, listen, see these paedophile hunting teams, I've got nothing but the utmost love and respect for what they do. Because listen, that's difficult to do. You cannot touch, you might have a fucking nonce in front of you, you can't touch him. Because the minute you touch him, all that evidence, everything goes straight out the front door. So, we sit down in a wee chat, and I want to say to one of them sick bastards, as an abuse victim, why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? This is just another, it's getting in their head. I want to hear what they have to say. Now, I know that I'm going to have to fucking hold back. You might even see videos of people jumping on me, not the fucking paedophile, but I know that, but I can't. Look, listen, you cannot. You can't undo everything that these people have spent months doing. So I'm going to be doing a bit more of that down in Birmingham. But listen, I just want to say thank you to every single one of you who turned up today, from the bottom of my heart. And listen, we need to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Next time I come to Glasgow, I want to see this fucking place full. It's just a case of getting the word out and letting everybody know. Listen, there should be millions of us on the streets when it comes to rape and abuse of children. And that's the most frustrating thing when you do what we do, because there isn't. Do you know what I mean? There isn't. But that's not going to... Listen, we won our case. People say, why don't you pick your feet up? Go, chill out. Why don't you still... I'm still doing it, because it's still fucking going on. And I will... The day I take my last breath, if it's not fixed, I'll still be doing this when I'm 80 years old. Because that's how it is. Listen, everybody, thank you for listening. And God bless each and every one of you.
Hello, how you all doing, people? This is Alan Merrick coming up next. Give him a big cheer. Remember, people, get the clock on this so it goes viral. A big message to the government: this is a scam. We do not consent. Here's Alan Merrick.
Well, thank you, Scotland. Thank you for having me back again. And it's always an honour to stand here amongst great campaigners, fellow survivors, and great-minded people that understand what we went through as children. All my family was abused in childcare. I was in abusive childcare and in care from virtually birth. They've got me because the records they keep of us are all redacted, wrong, things are misplaced, blacked out or whited out, and they got me in care before I was actually born. So the records right through my life were like this, and trying to chase the councils up to get my records of what happened to me was very, very difficult. I was in 4 or 5 children's homes before I was even 6 years of age. At 6, I went before the court system, and a judge looked down on me, a 6-year-old child, and said to me, "Would you like to go to the seaside, sonny boy?" I'd never been to the seaside. I was the youngest of 4 siblings. Seaside. Everybody wants to go to the seaside. Every child wants to go to the seaside. They stuck me in a children's home called Beach Home in Banstead, Surrey. It's on my t-shirt now. This was a very, very abusive children's home. I was in 3 out of 4 abusive cottages, 24 cottages in this house, in this home. And I was beaten sexually, physically, mentally, and into this day, I still have nightmares and trauma about what happened to me. I'm in my 60s, and my mind never seems to let me forget. I have nightmares, and it just doesn't take anything to trigger them off. And I go back, and that little boy inside me comes out and wants to tell the story, and that's why I stand here, telling my story to this day. They put me in a house called Laburnum. Each of these houses were named after trees, and there was this woman called Grace Robinson and Audrey Wilson. They said you have to call them auntie and uncle. They were no relation to mine. They weren't my guardians. They weren't my true carers. They showed no love and affection. They used to beat me. They used to put carbolic soap in my mouth. They used to put carbolic soap in my eyes. They used to scrub me with a floor scrubbing brush. They used to slap me in the bath until there was too much water on the floor. I was in the dormitory one night, and Audrey Wilson, the street lights used to flicker, and the shine on the ceiling, and the pattern was broken one night by Audrey Wilson leaning over my bed and touching me under the bedclothes. And I was so frightened, I curled into a little ball, and I leant up against underneath the window ledge, and I wet the bed. I stayed there till morning light, and I was in so many different houses. They used to bring male staff to beat me if I disobeyed. We had to do as we're told. We weren't allowed to answer back. There's an old saying, little boys were seen and not heard. And the men used to punch you with their fists, punch you in the stomach, slam you on the floor, kneel on you, hold you down, rub their genitals on your back, bath you. They had this terrible thing about the bathrooms. My sister Marjorie, I'm going to hold a picture up. This is my sister Marjorie. She was one of 4 of my family. I've got 2 sisters and another brother, Frank. We were all abused in the same children's home. Look at Marjorie's eyes, people. Look at her eyes. She was being abused most of her childhood by a guy called Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray? Is that right? Yeah. Mr. Gray in Thistle Cottage. Look at that poor girl's eyes. She's lost. There's a photograph of me, similar, and my eyes are lost as well. This was a loveless childhood with no love and affection. It was a cruel, hard life. The amount of times we were beaten, punched, slapped. They put me in shorts as a young child, and they used to use that as kind of like a weapon for children, to slap the backs of their legs, and they'd make you red raw. And then when they bathed you with this carbolic soap, this red carbolic soap, it used to burn you so badly on the wounds that you already sustained. And the punishment is to make you stand and face the wall for hours and hours on end until your little feet couldn't take it anymore and you fell to the floor. They used to put the same food in front of you if you refused to eat your food. They gave you the same food the next day until you ate it. They gave me some fish one day and a bone stuck in my throat because I was forced to eat it. It scarred the back of my throat and the bone got stuck in the back of my throat. I think I couldn't eat for about a week or so afterwards. All I was eating was bread. And some of the things that happened to her in Beach Home was terrible. The abuse went on to another children's home called Shirley Oaks. And Shirley Oaks has had an ICSA, like a Scottish Government inquiry into the child abuse that's happened in Scotland. ICSA is a similar thing to the Scottish Child Inquiry. And Shirley Oaks, the things that have come out of Shirley Oaks are the same as what happened almost like a paedophile ring going into these children's homes, and like it was some sort of sweet shop to a paedophile by picking off these children. Jimmy Savile went to Beach Home in 1972. Margie, there's a difference. I was the youngest. I'm about 4 or 5 years younger than Margie. I had an older sister called Anne. I used to call her Mummy Anne because she was the only one that looked after us. Margie was taken from Beach Home by staff and put on a train at Banstead Station. And they said, look at this. And this is about the same age of this photograph. And they put this young girl on this train. Member of staff took her to Banstead Station and said to this little girl, driver, can this young girl ride up with you, driver, to be safe rather than in a carriage on her own? The driver abused her in the cab. On her leaving Beach Home, not only had she been through abuse in Beach Home, Margie, I'm telling my story about Margie because Margie went on in her life, and I'm going to dedicate this to Margie. She's passed, Margie. She never done anything wrong in her life. She had trauma. This is a picture of my sister Margie later in life, and you can see she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. And you know, just look at her. Look how beautiful she was. And she was abused for just being such a pretty young girl. She was desperate to have children and give the children the love and affection that none of us had as children in care. She was so desperate she couldn't have children with her partner. She went on fertility treatment, and they said to her, if you stay on fertility treatment for too long, there is a chance you can get cancer. Margie was so desperate to have children and look after the child like we hadn't been looked after. She stayed on the fertility treatment in desperation for something like over 8 years, and she ended up getting breast cancer.
Can I get Coke? It's free. Go on, Alan.
I said to Margie, he was in remission at one stage, but the cancer came back and it went to her liver. My beautiful sister passed in 2002. She was 50 years of age. She went through 25 years of abuse like I did. She found her life. She wanted children, and she wanted to give her children what we never had. I still live to this very, very day. I've been to see psychiatrists, and they say to me, Alan, there's nothing wrong with you. The only thing wrong with you is your memory, and your memory will never let you forget. Thank you, Scotland.
The very first ship that I joined was HMS Glasgow. I came up there 1981, I think. Loved it up there. Four days and nights. Lovely treatment by the locals. Loved it. But my own personal abuse, that only came to light when I joined the Navy, because my father's name was missing off my birth certificate, and my surname was in another name. So the Royal Navy needs to have all the T's crossed, I's dotted, etc. So I had to go and get myself another one. And when I explained all this to my mum, when I got back from the recruiting office, she just burst into tears. I was only 18. I'm like, what's up with you, mum? Because I was the oldest of 5. And she said, well, what's something to tell you? I said, well, crack on then, sort of thing. I need to get away from home because this is just too much for me. She said, before you was born, she had me when she was 18 actually, and the bloke who brought me up was punching well above his weight, so to speak, you know. But he was very controlling. So she then met this big flash geezer big flash car, plenty of money, and she's obviously messed around with him at the time. So she fell pregnant, but she wasn't sure who the father was. So the one that she actually did go ahead and marry, not the one with all the money, but the other one, he made my life a fucking misery. Not sexual abuse, but physical abuse. And I said to my mum, this is all starting to drop in place, the way he's been treating me all these years. I said, I've got a lot of questions. I said, all I want you to do is answer those questions. And honestly, I said, I might not like the answer. She said, well, about 3 months before you was born, he wanted me aborted. Well, oh, great. Fucking great way to start your life. You're not even started it, you know what I mean? And she bluntly refused, of course, and she went ahead and gave birth, and a couple of months after I was born, he then wanted me adopted. And I'm like, what the fuck? So that was refused. So he just proceeded to make my fucking life hell until I got too big for him to keep fucking smacking me around.
Come on, let's go and sort it out.
This is where all this had come out. So if I'd have never joined the Navy, I'd have never found any of this out, and I'd have just gone to my grave, just assuming things. But now I know the truth, you know. But my home life, he never looked at me as a son. He looked at me as like the fucking cuckoo in a nest. He used to batter me senseless. Nothing sexual abuse on his side, but just pure physical abuse. And so I used to spend as much time as possible with my nan down in Portsmouth, which is where I travelled up from yesterday.
God's sake.
To tell the story, but I used to spend as much time with my nan, who I called my superhero, because she's the only one who ever told me that she loves me in my life, ever. But unbeknownst to me as a young child, my mum's brother, my nan's son, was an alcoholic, sexual pedo predator. So, got to about the age of 12, he hid it quite well. And sadly, I went through a rape at the age of 12, which completely done me over. Because even though I wasn't happy with the physical treatment, I was now feeling that fucking big as opposed to that big. But couldn't believe that. And then I found out many years later, after coming home from leaving the Navy, I got one of my brothers is 18 months younger than me, and I did a live a couple of months ago, and I said to people watching, yeah, I got raped at the age of 12, and my brother, he happened to be watching it. As soon as I finished, he contacted me. He said, "Is this right?" I said, "Well, I wouldn't say it if it wasn't." I knew he'd been interfered with, but I wasn't sure whether he was right. But he got interfered by the same bloke, and that bastard is now dead. What keeps me angry is the fact that I'm never going to get any justice for this. And I blew me top only last week, I think it was, on another live, and I was getting angry and thinking about it, and I did say, and at the time I felt it, is I'd go and dig that bastard up and punch the shit out of his corpse. That's how angry I was, because he's gone to his grave getting away with it. But when I sort of like thought about it, calmed down, but I went through up to the age of 18, no self-respect, or I just didn't have none. All the batterings I got just made me feel like I was worthless, you know. Anyway, got through all the Navy tests, etc. Set off for HMS Raleigh in Plymouth, April the 8th, 1980, never forget it. And after about a week or so, we got uniforms and that issued. And we all had to try them on in front of a full-length mirror. And I had the Navy uniform on, and you know, for the first time in my life, I was a fucking somebody.
Yay!
That I can't really describe the feelings of the pride as I looked at myself, you know. I thought, I've come through all this shit, and now look at me, the boy's done good.
Yay! Well done, Shane.
And I only did 5 years, unfortunately, because I married a local girl and wanted to start a family, have my own kids, and you know, bring them up completely different to the way I was brought up. Love them, hug them, tell them I love them. You know, make them feel wanted and make them feel loved. And I did that, something that was never happened for me, but I just cracked on. And there's plenty more to tell probably at another rally, so I don't really want to go on, but I just want to say before I end this is, I kept all this in for 57 years, I never told anyone. And then I started getting involved in these different demos and meeting different people from, you know, different subjects with the veterans, the child protection ones, all sorts. And then I got to know Sandy, I got to know Bobby and Joe, my dear friend Sarah, and listening to them and talking to them, they're the reason why I'm speaking today. Otherwise I'd have never said anything. I'd have gone to my grave with almost like a secret. But they've given me the courage to come forward and go, do you know what, we're not having this. You know, I played victim for years, but now I'm not. I'm a survivor. That's exactly what I am.
Love you, Shane.
But yeah, thanks very much for listening. It was a bit daunting, but
Did it?
I did it. So yeah, thank you very much, Glasgow. It was 40 years ago this year that I first turned up here on HMS Glasgow. How weird is that?
Yeah.
You're welcome here.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Well, that's that, you know.
I'd like to give one thanks before I go. There's a man standing beside me, that is. This man, the common law. I come here and then you fuck all about it. And I've been listening to this man speak. And it's amazing what he does. First time I come here, I seen Monday, I seen me and I seen Rabbi speaking. I heard stories that broke me, too broke me. But they'll come, and here we are again. We have come together. I give my word, I will be back, I will support these people. I want to take things a wee bit easier because of my health, and I'm really sore now in my leg, and go home take a couple of meds and a few dark runs and I'll be alright. But let us meet again sometime, brothers, sisters, warriors, together. God bless us all. We have come. Thank you, Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, we did it! God bless us all.
Can I just quickly say that me and Mandy has always supported Rob. There was a couple of things that happened that kind of divided us all, but we've sorted that out. Me and Mandy Expo Scotland will be there to support Rob every single Saturday.
I'll be here to support Expo Scotland and Warriors, and any other group is for the sons and daughters of Scotland. And there's a wee thing, you didn't want it? There's a thing about Sandy.
Tomorrow, hello, can I get it? Tomorrow at 2 p.m. June, the Quarriers Warriors, the people that spoke today, we will be in Quarriers Orphan Homes in Bridgevere, Scotland at 2 p.m. We're asking yourselves to come along. This is for every child who sadly gained their golden wings. In Quarriers Orphan Homes, there were 348 little children laid to rest. Juveniles children remembered their headstones. Juveniles were separated, as we spoke about. 48 years later we met and we went back to Quarriers to relive the happy times. And when we went in to give the respect to our brothers and sisters, and we were saddened at the scene. Because Quarriers had removed their headstones because they sold the church. And the property developer didn't want these houses went into children's graveyards. That's the reason, but they'll not admit it. Well, we met with Quarriers back in 2017, first week of January. And they gave us their word that we would replace each child's headstone. There's 155 headstones in there containing 338 little children. And when we went back, we were shocked. We shed tears the other night because they'd removed our brothers and sisters' headstones. 5 years has now passed. 5 years. And everything we wanted Quarriers to do, we had to fight. And to fight every way. They even denied our children in there. They denied our children's headstones. We denied that. We proved them wrong. And we're still fighting.
She then made me commit oral sex on her at 3 years old. I was only 3. I'd only just learned to walk and talk.
2 seconds, people.
Please share, folks.
Hi, all right. Check 1 2 1 2. And she took me behind the sofa, and from that day at 3 years old I had a photographic memory of what had happened to me, and that was in my own home. Her name was Tracy, she was blonde, she was about 19 to early 20s. And all I remember is my head being forced down onto her blonde pubic hair, and she told me to do things. And then afterwards I can remember the colour of the carpet, everything, and that's my first childhood memory. Then she took me to the sink and she washed my arm down. She said, "You've been very naughty, and if you speak about this you'll get in trouble." Well, I knew by 3 years old what happens to naughty boys if they speak out and they've been in trouble, and my parents would have beat the shit out of me. Anyway, I got over that. I will say there's two police forces fighting for me at the moment, and they're doing all right. But then I went through a life of poverty, violence, abuse, mental, physical, getting beat up by my father. And then I tried to get over being over 3 years old, and then at nine years old, on a Friday night, a man crept into my bed. His name was Joe. And every Friday night for the next 2 years he abused me. I had to live with this in silence, I had to keep quiet. I was getting beaten up all the time. But this isn't about me. I also heard my father raping my sister. And that noise sticks in my head. But when I heard my father raping my sister, that really broke me because I couldn't do nothing. I was little, I was scared, and if I'd have said anything, that man would have beat me up. But this happens today, now. It's happening somewhere, right now. I've got a lot of followers, and this is going out worldwide to a lot of my supporters and people nationwide and worldwide, from New Zealand to India. I've got a lot of supporters and followers, but I've got Joe and Bobby and Sandy here, and these people are the salt of the earth. These people helped save my life, because if they hadn't have spoken out, I wouldn't have spoken out. And that's what today is about speaking out. I see the girl there with the Birmingham top on, the milk carton kids. On my journey from here, from Great Yarmouth in Norfolk, I travelled to Birmingham where the milk carton kids disappeared. I travelled to Manchester where kids have disappeared. Every town I stopped in, I thought of a child that has been disappeared and raped. There was even one in my own town, he went missing and he's never been seen again. His name was, I can't say it. But I'm not going to go on too much because I don't want to hurt people, but it is not a nice thing being abused. It haunts you for the rest of your life. People say to you, well, get on, it was a long time ago, get on with it. You've got to move. You can't do that. You wake up in the morning and you think, them fuckers fucked me up. And you go to sleep at night and you think, Now, what I'm doing here is, if I had gone to a care home with my story, they would have looked on that list and said abused, violently, emotionally and sexually. And if I'd have gone into a home, I would have been targeted there as well. And there's not enough of us out there stopping this. There's not enough of us. We're trying hard, but there's not enough, and there needs to be more. And we need to highlight that today there's another Tim, there's another Alan, there's another Sandy, there's another Joe and Bobby out there, right? And all I've tried to do today is come here and say, look, right, we will fucking come when we're called, and we're fucking protect children. And if that dickhead on that bike comes back, I'm going to knock him the fuck out. Because he was very rude.
Sam, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Good nice, man.
I want to get arrested in Scotland. I want a souvenir.
Sam, I'll do it. Take everything away from my room.
But anyway, I'm going to leave it there to the professionals because I'm just an amateur. These boys, Alan, Sue, Jean, Darren Webster was supposed to be with me today, but he couldn't come because of heart problems. Darren Jeffries, you'll know him as, good friends of mine. But we're here today for, I've got to go have a pint and something to eat. But Sandy's looked after me. I've been to Quarriers. Joe and Bobby, all of us. I've got girls here, Lynn, who's looking after the kids. I've got Catherine and Mel here, all looking after me. And thank you for having me, Scotland. Yeah. Thank you for having me and your beautiful people. Fuck the government. Fuck the government, fuck the pedos, and fuck if that bloke come on the bike again, fuck him.
Big round of applause for Tom. That's the first time he's ever spoke or told anyone what happened to him. I'm going to hand over again, but just before I go, and it's to wakeupuk.net, it's going out live to worldwide, so we're a wee bit later going on. But thanks everyone.
Let's go a big cheer for them before Bob Marley comes on. It takes a lot of courage, people. Give them a big cheer.
Tell you, and what I can show you is something that is a reminder to me every day of the abuse, of surgical abuse they did to me. Every child in Quarriers was a designer child. They could get you taken out of Quarriers because a couple want a little girl or a little boy. So if you had something that was disfiguring you, they had to fix it. Well, when I was born, I went into Quarriers when I was 3. When I was born, I didn't have fingers at this side of my hand here. and the same in the middle of this hand. It was just like a stump, there was no fingers. But I was able to grip a bucket and spade, I was doing fine. But Croyers decided, no, let's experiment. So what they did was they cut down in between each digit of bone. Then they decided, let's put wire on each part of the bones and let's start. So what they did was to put the wire on the ends, and every month I had to go up so that they could pull the wire in stronger. Have you ever seen someone with a broken leg and they turn the wires? Well, that's what was happening to my hands. So, I'm okay, yeah, I'm fine. So, as the years went on, I still had to go through all this, even when I was in my 20s, to get the repair work done on my hands. It was that bad, they couldn't do anything. But what I'm really wanting to point out to you is, Croyers was not the place that I should ever have been in. They took me 100 miles from my hometown in Dundee and kept me there with no visitors, nothing. Force feeding, wet the bed, everything little children do.
Kill it, guys! Kill it, please!
That's all right. They grow up eventually. Not into much, I don't think. But every morning when I wake up, oh, I'm trying to say this. Every morning when I wake up, I am left with this. So when you wake up, the first thing is a cup of coffee. When I wake up, the first thing is to wash my hands, and the flashback to being a little child being operated on, it's with me. It's not working. Yeah, constantly. Yeah, okay. I don't hate anybody. I blame. I'm angry. I'm angry at a system that can get away with mutilising children. Children that are not even broken, they decide to fix. We were getting injections, we were getting surgery, we were getting all these tests. Croyers had their own doctors, 4 doctors. So nobody from the outside ever saw what was going on inside Croyers. Now, our stories are being told. We went up in front of Lady Smith at the abuse inquiry, and my story is there, and I will take them to court, and I will sue them. They've offered to pay up to £100,000. No, I'm not signing no little bit of paper. I am suing the Scottish Government, and I am suing Croyers Homes.
Well, we came, you came.
Yes.
There are a few people here, I'm going to shout out their name. First one's Jane. Come up. I'm on your name on the list. It's my brother from another brother. Alan Merrick. Come up there. My wee Welsh lovely. I'm looking for you. There you are. Come up. Sorry guys. I can't see if she's in her body glasses. It's changing the eating, don't blame that. Anne. Where's Anne?
Oh, you come. Follow me. Shane, get over there. Right. We've got one more guy coming up here. Please guys, come keep your eyes down on me, but this guy has never told his story before, and it fucking tore me. We're getting him up. Don't worry. After I finished, we're going to have a wee old mic. It's here. Tell your stories. I've had many people today. Excuse me a minute, Mum. We've had many people here today. Can I speak? Can I speak? Can I speak? We want everybody to have a voice, but we just can't get them up. So we're doing an old mic later. Please come forward. This is your day as well as ours. Oh, where's Bobby? Bobby? There's the twin Sarah there. Well done, stand with us, stand proud there. Right. We wouldn't get us the team because we can hardly see you.
Catherine.
Mandy, hello. Where are you? Stevie, where are you? Wanda. Stevie. Laura.
I showed it.
Get the picture, Billy. You come on over. I forgot your first name again.
Come up.
Will Evans.
A few months ago, we and the Couriers Warriors came together. And because it's time we all come together, brothers and sisters, groups. Thank you, you take your place in the bro. I thought this is time for times now. We can never go back in time and wave a magic wand and make it happen to us. We can't make it disappear. We live with this every day of our life. You've heard those stories. I thank each and every one of you for being here today. As I was saying a few months back here, the Couriers Warriors got together and he goes, let's try and unite everyone. Brothers and sisters together. Put all our troubles, maybe have difference in the past, put them behind. Start now, bringing us together. Today's the start of many. We will be back. I'm taking things easier. I'm not kidding on my health. I'm sitting here and nagging in my legs and that. But I will come back. And we will come back. We want you to come back. Bring everyone together. To my brothers and sisters here, each and every one of you, from my heart, I thank you. I personally thank you. Each one of you that came here today and supported us. Thank you. I've been people travelled miles and miles to come here. 19 hours of travelling and stuff. But we did it. We came together as brothers and sisters. I turned 70 on the 29th this month. And I asked people, come, give me a birthday I'll remember from the 70s. By Christ, you put the candles in my cake, Dyson. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. One more thing before I go, and there's a man here who's been filming all afternoon. He's here every week. Thank you. So we're going to get a photo.